Welcome to the Happy Bones, Happy Life podcast. I'm Margie Bissinger, a physical therapist and integrative health coach, and I am your host and guide on our journey to discover the keys to stronger bones, more happiness, and the secrets to live your best life ever. From nutrition to stress, from exercise to happiness, you will gain revolutionary insights from our leading experts. It is time for you to discover the health and happiness you deserve. Hey, Margie here. Are you ready to learn how you can have vibrant and glowing skin and also improve your bone health? Well, today you're in for a treat because our special guest is Dr. Trevor Cates. And Dr. Cates is the author of the USA Today and Amazon best-selling book, Clean Skin from Within. And she's the founder of the Spa Doctor, a natural skincare line. She was the first woman licensed as a naturopathic doctor in California. She currently lives in Park City, Utah, where she helps patients from around the world achieve naturally glowing skin. She has been featured on various TV shows, including The Doctors and Extra. And Dr. Cates is the host of the Spa Doctor weekly podcast and her PBS special, Younger Skin from Within. She believes the key to healthy skin is inner and outer nourishment with natural and non-toxic products. And in today's interview, we delve into the relationship between your skin and your bones and why it matters to your overall health to take care of your skin and to use good, clean products. And she gives us all sorts of tips. And I'm excited to share this with all of you. So stay tuned. Welcome, Dr. Cates. I am so excited to have you here today on the podcast because you have done so much with skincare and there's such a correlation between skincare and our bones. And I just think you're going to really have a lot to tell our audience. So welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
So let's get started. Why do you I love what you call the skin, the magic mirror. That's just such a great term. And why don't you start with that? Like, why is the skin the magic mirror? Because a lot of people think, oh, it's just your skin, but it's so much more. So why don't you enlighten everyone to why you call it the magic mirror?
Yeah, absolutely. So I call skin our magic mirror because it's our largest organ. It's right on the surface of our bodies, and it gives us great information about our overall health. Our skin is an outer reflection of our level of inner health. So if we pay attention to it, it can give us great information about if we're on the right track with our lifestyle, we're on the right track with our health. And so if we change the way we look at skin, then it becomes a tool rather than a potential burden or something we get upset about. Because a lot of times we look in the mirror and we just think, oh, that's a flaw, or I just need to cover that up. But if instead of looking at skin as something you want to suppress or cover up, which is what people typically do, is look at skin as giving you this really valuable information. And you can use that to help change what you're doing with your lifestyle to optimize your health and your skin.
I love that because every day when I see clients and patients, it's so important because they'll tell so many people, I can't even tell you, have eczema. And they'll say, oh, by the way, or I always ask actually any other conditions. And they think it has nothing to do with their bones or anything else, but it has everything to do with it because so many autoimmune conditions end up first manifesting in the skin. So I love what you say that it's information because it's not something that we just, oh, let me get the right cream. What is this telling us? And when we delve deeper, we can find the root causes of so many of our issues. So I think that's great. And I really love the way that, I like the term magic mirror. That's great. So in terms of, I know, you cover all aspects of the skin, and I love that you cover from the inside out. It's not just putting on the creams, but I know that diet is a big part of it. And I know there's certain foods that trigger skin inflammation, but could also be affecting our bones. So why don't you tell us what foods you found really trigger skin issues?
Right. Well, the number one food trigger for skin is sugar. And it's a big one for a lot of health reasons, including our bones, because of
Yes.
how acidic and pro-inflammatory sugar is. But also, in addition to that, when it comes to skin, well, we eat a lot of sugar or things that cause our blood sugar to rise. It causes an increase in insulin. And with increased insulin, that triggers excess sebum production, oils in our skin, as well as excess androgen activity, which is a lot of the reason why people break out in acne. So when our blood sugar increases, we're more prone to breaking out in acne. And as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, acne is not just something that you experience in puberty. When you're during that time, acne can come back at the strangest times. It seems like you've got a handle on it, and then all of a sudden it comes back. I mean, I've even had women way past menopause that still get acne breakouts. So we know that that's one of the things that triggers acne. Also, when we eat a lot of foods that are high in sugar, when our blood sugar increases, it creates glycation issues in the body. And glycation, what will happen with glycation is glucose will bind to uh, proteins in the body. In the case of skin, we're talking about collagen. The collagen is what gives our skin that texture that kind of holds it up and does start to break down as we age. And what happens is that glucose binds to collagen. It makes it more rigid and less elastic. So that'll lead to wrinkles and sagging skin, those changes in our skin. So it speeds up the aging process too.
Interesting. It's very interesting because I recently saw an article and they made a correlation with more wrinkles, especially the wrinkle right between your eyes, that people who had more wrinkles had lower bone density. And what they did, the correlation was due to collagen. So it's so very interesting. But sugar, that's such a big bone depleter because all the reasons you said, it also reduces the absorption of magnesium and calcium. And so most people think it's just not that harmful, but it's very harmful. And besides, causing havoc on your skin, it really does cause havoc on your bones. So I'm an ex-sugar addict. I was truly addicted to sugar for many years. And so I've been off now, I guess 9 years, but it's amazing. Besides your skin looking better, it's better for your bones. You feel so much better as well. You're not on that crazy blood sugar roller coaster. So
And another one that's kind of similar along the same lines is caffeine. And I know that that coffee and tea, so things that are high caffeine levels can block our mineral absorption, which it can impact our bone health. Well, same thing with the skin, those nutrients that we need for the skin, those can get blocked if we consume a lot of caffeine. And again, it's more acidic. It also is dehydrating, and that impacts the skin. So that would be another one that's a common kind of crossover with bone and skin is the caffeine.
yeah. And what do you think? What about dairy? I mean, dairy is a good one to talk about because so many people are under the assumption that dairy is the panacea. They find out they have osteoporosis. Oh, I just need to drink some more milk. So why don't you tell us about what you've seen with dairy?
Right. Well, yeah, definitely dairy is one of the big trigger foods for skin. It is a common food allergen or sensitivity. And so with that, it triggers a lot of inflammation. It can create gut dysbiosis issues. It create a lot of things that can then cause the skin to be more inflamed and irritated and prone to breaking out and a number of different what I call skin inflammation issues. So that internal inflammation showing up on the skin, a lot of times it's triggered by consuming dairy. And it's not a problem for everybody, but in my book, Clean Skin from Within, I do a 2-week program and I have people eliminate the top trigger foods, and dairy being one of them, and sugar and caffeine also. But dairy being one that if they eliminate it for 2 weeks and then reintroduce it, and don't see any problems with their skin, it may not be their big trigger food, but it definitely is one of the most common, especially for people with acne, but also with eczema and other inflammatory skin issues like that.
So what other ones do you in your book? I know your book's a great book. I happen to love that book.
Thank
But
you.
what are the other ones that you tell people? If let's say someone who's listening does have eczema and they do have problems, where would you start? Which foods would you eliminate?
So with eczema, the biggest ones that I found are especially, well, sugar again, like that is the biggest one across the board. And then I would say actually for eczema, it's oftentimes the grains. So I often have people start with gluten and corn. Those are particularly the ones that are the big triggers for people with eczema. And then some people with eczema actually do better with a grain-free diet. But I do find that a lot of times they can tolerate certain grains, like sometimes they could do gluten-free oats or quinoa, which are some gluten-free, corn-free grains. But that does seem to be a big trigger one. And then another one that might surprise people is eggs. Eggs are another big trigger food for a lot of skin issues. Again, not necessarily a problem for everybody, but it is one I tell people to cut out for a couple weeks and then try reintroducing it and see how their skin does.
Yeah, I love the elimination diet that you prescribe because it's something everybody can try. And, people just don't think to do it because they may be having eggs every single day and they just didn't put the two together, that eggs may be causing their inflammation or the gluten. And not only is it causing your skin inflammation, but when you have inflammation in the body, nothing is in isolation. So it'll be affecting your bones, your digestion, it has the possibility to go in everybody. It's different, but it can be affecting so many different areas. So that's great. I really love that you include all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we skip over? To me, this is really key because I know when I work with people and I recommend that they clean up their skincare, they give me a look like, you've got to be kidding. They understand the exercise and they understand the diet recommendations, but then they look at me like, oh, you must be nuts. They really, and I don't usually do it on the first visit. It's usually as we get into things, but it's really, really important. So why don't you tell us, first of all, what's in some of the skincare products that really people should avoid? Or just really tell us what exists if we're just buying traditional skincare products and why that is such an issue.
Yeah, and if you first of all think about the a number of products that you use, and I know as with time, I'm 46, and I know that it seems like a lot of my friends, the older we get, the more products we use. There are more products, and part of it's like it's just fun. I mean, personal care products are kind of fun to
And we
use.
want to look good. Let's be honest. We know that this helps our skin and we want to look young, and so I think there's reasons that we're using more products.
Right, and it's part of self-care. I mean, enjoying your skincare routine is part of self-care and part of that pampering and love that we give ourselves. So I think it's great using personal care products. But here's the problem is that, if we look at, so Environmental Working Group kind of did a survey looking at how many products people use. And on average, we use around 11 personal care products, 9 to 11, and women more like 11. So that exposes us to 126 or more ingredients each day. And the problem in the United States is that these ingredients are not well regulated. In Europe, they've banned over 1,000 ingredients in personal care products. But in the United States, the FDA has only banned 11 ingredients. And so that means that it really is up to manufacturers to determine what goes into the products. A lot of things don't have to be even on the label. And so it gets to be this unfortunately, it's like this combination of toxic ingredients that are in so many of our personal care products. And more research is coming out about this class of chemicals called endocrine disrupting chemicals. And they have hormone disrupting effects in the body. So what will happen with endocrine disrupting chemicals, what happens is that when we we get exposed to them in our air and our water and our food and our personal care products. We get them all over the place. We're breathing them in, we're drinking them in, we're eating them, we're putting them on our skin and absorbing through. And so in all these different places, what happens is we get exposure to these and they make their way into circulation, is that they'll bind to hormone receptors in the body, and they can turn off or mimic, the function of hormones. And so what we're finding is part of the reason why we're seeing more rates of certain types of cancer, like breast cancer and prostate cancer. We're seeing more rates of infertility. We're seeing early puberty or breast development in young boys, and all kinds of thyroid disease is on the rise. And if we think about hormones, it not just impacts our sex hormones and our thyroid hormones, but also increases in weight, impacting our weight, cardiovascular health. Our hormones play a role in so much of our health. And we're exposed to more of these endocrine disrupting chemicals now than we ever have been, because we have chemicals from the past, that these toxic chemicals that continue to exist in our environment even after they're banned, as well as new chemicals being created with with plastics and fertilizers, pesticides, all these different things in our environment. We're getting more and more of these in our environment. So any way that we can reduce our total load and total exposure is going to be helpful, because our bodies do a great job. Our processes of elimination and detoxification in the body is really great. But when we get it too much of it, our body has a hard time eliminating. And so if we could just reduce our total load with focusing on the areas that you have control. And the personal care products are one of those places where you have control. You have control over what you eat, your home that you live in, and the personal care products you use. So that's why I always tell my patients, that's where you want to start. So with personal care products, the biggest ones that you want to look for are the ones that, but the first one is fragrance. Fragrance is in many of our personal care products. It's also in cleaning products and a lot of the things that we use in our homes too. But fragrance is not one ingredient. It's a whole bunch of different chemicals that go into creating fragrance. Those ingredients don't have to be listed on the label. It's just put as fragrance. But within that word fragrance, there are chemicals, some of these endocrine disrupting chemicals within that. For example, one of them is called diethyl phthalate. Diethyl phthalate is a type of phthalate, which is a plasticizing agent, and it's used in fragrance to help the smell last longer. But it is one of these endocrine disrupting chemicals. So what we want to do is look for fragrance-free, or looking for personal care products. Maybe if you like the scent, then use the ones that are made with organic, pure essential oils, and though that's a nice alternative. And also, you could use those kinds of things as with cleaning products, and think of other ways you can use those in your home.
I have this analogy for people that ever watch I Love Lucy. And they're making chocolates, Lucy and Ethel, and it was on a conveyor belt, and they're doing fine. They're wrapping the chocolates, and then it's speeded up. It's sped up, and then all of a sudden there's just too many chocolates, and they're being overflowed. And it's sort of just like you mentioned, that we can handle some, but we are flooded with all of these toxic chemicals and all of these endocrine disruptors, and they really, just like you mentioned, create havoc. So that's why this topic is so important, and it affects our bones. It affects really our thyroid, as you mentioned, every aspect of our body. So, and the good news, how hard is it to switch? It's not like you're doing anything different. You're just using a different product. I mean, it's one of the easiest things. It's much harder to give up gluten or dairy or sugar than to switch what product you're using.
Right. Oh, yeah, it is easy. I mean, it's a lot easier now than it used to be. There's so many more natural skincare products out there now than there used to be, and it actually is a big trend right now, as manufacturers are making a lot of more natural skincare products. I would say to to be careful that just because it says it's natural doesn't actually mean anything.
Oh,
There's
good.
no
Explain that, because there's
yeah.
so much misinformation. That's a great point. So why don't you go into that? Because even hypoallergenic,
Yeah.
just certain things that are on the labels don't really tell the whole story.
It's true, and I have learned so much by making when I created my line of skincare products 4 years ago. I learned so much about what you can and cannot say in marketing of skincare products, and there's a lot of freedom when it comes to words like hypoallergenic and natural. Hypoallergenic really doesn't mean anything. That's really up to the manufacturer to decide, do I think that my products are hypoallergenic or not? There's no testing that's required, anything like that. Same thing with natural. Anybody can say natural. Now, nobody is supposed to say 100% natural, because that implies you go out and pick some grass and berries and put it on your face. I mean, everything, it's made with natural ingredients, we're allowed to say. But organic is one thing that it does have to be certified organic in order for it to say it contains organic ingredients. So that's one thing that you can look for. But really, it's about looking at ingredients, finding a company that you really trust and believe in, because I could tell you that just because it's got some, even if it says organic or that it's a natural product, doesn't mean that they're actually going to help give you results. And that was actually what led me to create the Spa Doctor skincare line, is because when 5 years ago, when I've been in practice for almost 20 years, but about 5 years ago, I was working on my, getting my book out, and I had this big focus on skin. And so my patients were saying to me, Dr. Cates, I know that you're recommending natural skincare products, but I can't find any that give me the same results. So I don't want to make the switch. And so I thought, well, maybe there's something missing here. And I started looking into the research and realized that a lot of the natural skincare lines were actually missing certain things. And I found that there are three keys. And one is, the first one, that it has to truly be clean. A lot of times it will say it's natural, but if you look closely at the ingredients, it still has synthetic fragrance in it. It might have parabens. It might have other things in there that aren't truly clean. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that there needs to be natural actives. So there's, a lot of times companies will say this contains green tea, or it contains CoQ10 or something, and they're making it look like it's a natural product, but there's not actually enough of that ingredient. Or the formula is not enough of a combination of ingredients to give you results. And so that's really important. The formula and the individual ingredients, just like in supplements, you want high quality forms of your calcium, absorbable forms of your calcium and your magnesium. You want these ingredients to actually to work with the skin. And then the third thing is the pH of the products. Our skin is this outer, it provides this outer protection from the outside world. And with it, it has this natural mild acidity. It has this acidic layer to it that helps protect it. But a lot of the products that we put on the skin actually have a pH that's too high for the skin. And then that breaks down that natural barrier. So for example, with cleansers, a lot of times, even with a bar of soap, that sudsing kinds of cleansers, it actually strips that natural barrier function of the skin. It's stripping the oils of the skin. It's increasing the pH. So then the skin actually can become kind of leaky, kind of like leaky gut.
Wow.
But the leaky skin, it breaks down that barrier function. So we need to use products with a mild acidity, and the research shows somewhere between 4.6 to 5 pH is ideal for the skin. And even if you think about, water has a pH of 7, which is too high for the skin. So using skincare products with that mild acidity helps support that barrier function of the skin and help protect against leaky skin, and if someone has leaky skin, can help it heal and help with the skin microbiome, which helps provide that environment, a healthy environment for the skin. And so because I couldn't find skincare products to recommend to my patients that had all three of those, and I started doing all this research for my book, I decided to create my own. So I found a formulator and created the Spa Doctor skincare line. We have 5 different products for the face, and we also have coming out some body products and a face mask too. So really excited to have all of these that actually meet these criteria. And I actually make the products I initially launched the products, making them in Europe to those European standards because I knew they were so much higher than the US.
Wow, it's so, I mean, how sad is that? To me, that's always just upset me terribly with the food and the skincare products, that you can go to Europe and they have different standards that are so much better. It's just horrible. But besides that, I came across your products when I was with you at a meeting in San Diego, and you had the samples, and I brought them home, and I just totally fell in love with them. It's such an easy step you have. 1, 2, 3, 4 things, boom, you're done. And they're all balanced and your skin feels amazing. But my favorite part, what you've done, Dr. Cates, my absolute favorite product is that you've taken all 4 of those steps and you've put them in this really small little travel case. That's good for, I found it definitely lasts 5 days. And so if you're going on vacation, all you do, you take this little, it's very small, this small box, and you put it in your suitcase and you are good. And even if you're going for 10 days, you take 2 of them. So it really stops. I used to put everything in little bottles and it's just changed the way I travel, quite honestly. But your products, I've been extremely happy with them. And I think your skincare routine is great, but I didn't know that. I just learned something. I didn't know about the pH, and that if you do use harsher products, you're actually, you actually can cause leaky skin or, take away from that protective film. That's so interesting. So what
Yeah.
you're saying is then the cleanser that you use, even the ones that microabrade somewhat, they are still maintaining that natural film?
Yeah, so our step 1, our cleanser, is still in that mild acidity. So when people use it, it does sometimes take a little while to get used to it because everybody's used to these foamy cleansers and soaps that strip your skin so it feels squeaky clean. But feeling squeaky clean is actually not good for your skin because you're stripping it. And so we have to educate our customers all the time of actually what you're feeling is healthy. So keep using the products and you'll realize your skin gets healthier. And so it's initially it is different because it's got some oils in there that help with the cleansing. And when people use them, especially when people start using, to make sure that they use them with warm water and use like a facial sponge or a warm washcloth to remove the products and remove makeup. It will take off all makeup, eye makeup, all makeup. And sometimes people will use it a second time, but it completely cleanses the skin, but without that stripping effect.
My favorite, what I like also is the moisturizer is really light. And I remember the first time I used it because, when you have older skin, you want to really moisturize. So I always thought the more is better. But I found that really wasn't the case because it was a light moisturizer, but it seemed that my skin was really nourished. It seemed that it totally did the trick. And then your step 4, I love that. Your whatever oil that is. I don't know what's in that, Dr. Cates, but it's great. It's after the cleanser, after the moisturizer. What is in that oil, if you don't mind telling us?
Well, yeah. So the step 2 is the serum, and
Right.
I think you tried that one too.
Oh, I
And
use all of them. I use the cleanser, then the serum, then the moisturizer. But the step 4 is some finishing oil that just brightens your skin. What is that? It's quite
yeah,
good.
so the step 2 is the serum. That one helps have a tightening effect to the skin, which people love. It's like a toning, tightening kind of effect to the skin. Then you do the moisturizer, and the moisturizer is light, like you said.
Right, it
Really
is.
quickly. And then you finish with that, what we call our liquid gold, our glow boost.
I love it.
That is it's an oil combination. It's a plant-based oil combination that gives it absorbs really rapidly, so you don't be left with this kind of sticky or or residue kind of feel. It absorbs, but it gives you this amazing glow. And they're really potent seed oils like pomegranate seed oil, raspberry seed oil, sea buckthorn fruit oil. These are the oils that give you that the antioxidant rich oils. And so many of the oils used in personal care products are actually petroleum based. So we've got mineral oil. And I mean, if you think about it, petroleum is where gasoline comes from. We don't need to be making oil from petroleum for our skincare products, but that's what's used in a lot of personal care products because it's cheap and because it holds up and it lasts for a really long time. But it's actually not nourishing your skin. It might give your skin that kind of a dewy look when you put it on, but it's not actually doing anything like these plant-based oils. They actually nourish the skin. And then also there are concerns about mineral oil maybe having some impurities, not fully being purified, and so having some impurities and environmental toxins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the good part, and this is I think with everything, is that you may switch over because you know it's not good for you. You know, that may be the impetus to say, you know what, I'm going to start using natural care products because it has chemicals, endocrine disruptors. It could be a factor in my bone health as well as my digestion, every part of your body. It can affect, even if your skin looks beautiful, even if you're not having issues on your skin, you're still absorbing these, you're still absorbing these chemicals into your skin. And so, but the good news is then, there are amazing products. So your skin will start looking better when you switch. So it's such a win-win situation. And I'm grateful that you created these products because I love them personally, but that's so very helpful. Is there anything else that you want to tell us that you think the people, since we are dealing with bones, anything else with the skin that they should see, or anything else that you want to
Yeah.
share with everybody?
Well, I know we were spending a lot of time talking about the face, but you really want to pay attention to the skin of your entire body, and that's the reason we're coming out with our body essentials products, because um, you got to take care of the rest of your skin too. And as we age, we start to notice our skin as it becomes a little bit thinner, kind of crepey, and the texture of it changes. So topically using products that truly hydrate the skin, that have that pH, because I couldn't find body products that actually have that mild acidity in them. So this was the reasons why we're creating our own line, is to have that natural mild acidity, and also natural actives like 5% niacinamide that helps the tone of the skin and the hydration of the skin, the health of the skin and the skin microbiome. So putting those things on topically, and also from the inside out, you mentioned collagen earlier, and our collagen starts to decrease as we age. And so thinking about what can you do from the inside out to help support your natural collagen. And part of that is avoiding sugar, making sure that your blood sugar is balanced so you don't have that excess collagen breakdown. You're not speeding up that process, but that you're also giving your body the nutrients it needs to help with collagen production. Things like vitamin C rich foods. We need vitamin C for collagen. Also, you might want to consider collagen foods like bone broth. You can take collagen supplements. Those also can help protect the skin from the inside out from excess collagen loss.
And the good news about that, both vitamin C and collagen and protein actually are what's important for the bone matrix. So, and that's going to influence how flexible the bones are. So if you were to fall, this flexibility is determined by the collagen matrix. So these things are so important for your bones as well as the skin. So what you eat and how you supplement, and making sure you have all the nutrients, because as you say, Dr. Cates, it's from the inside out. You need to do, besides putting wonderful products on and not putting on products that are actually detrimental, also nourishing your body and giving yourself all of the micronutrients and nutrients that you need. That's fantastic. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And if people want to start, I know that you have a skin quiz, and I'm going to give everybody all the links to that so they can, but why do you think that's a good idea to start with the skin quiz?
Right. So the skin quiz helps people figure out. I created different skin personality types. So they're Amber, Olivia, Sage, and so these skin personality types, I created them around root causes associated with skin issues. So if people take the skin quiz, they'll find out which of these skin personality types they are, and that helps them identify the root causes. And then that way you can be more specific on what you need to look at. Are you trying to focus more on hormone balance or inflammation or nutritional deficiencies? And then you'll really know how to individualize it for your skin.
Oh, that's great because, we have to be detectives, especially when it comes to bone health. So often that's not standard treatment. You come from a naturopathic background but as you know, oftentimes people see the doctor and they find out they have osteoporosis and boom, on a medication and that's it, done. And so there is so much more, but if we can be a detective and use our skin as a way to see, oh, could this be autoimmune or what could it be? And giving us information. Then when we find that out, it's amazing when you figure out the root cause. I know you've seen this in your practice. When you find the root cause and treat it, all of a sudden everything clears up. I'm just an example, someone who I was working with who had osteoporosis, also terrible arthritis, eliminated gluten. And not only then did her bone density get better, it hadn't gotten better with the Fosamax. She'd been put on Fosamax. Not only 2 years later was her bone density so much better, but also her arthritis almost immediately, like a couple of weeks, was totally gone. So it's amazing. And then if we can use the skin, that's great that you have that. Wow.
Right. And a lot of times it comes along with eczema too, or accelerated signs of aging. Sometimes that's a sign too that we need to pay attention to what's going on internally.
Yeah, I think the biggest one I see with the people who see me is the eczema. I really have a lot of people that I work with also have the eczema. And as you said, most people just think, oh, let me get the best cream. They don't even correlate it. So this has been so incredibly informative, and we're going to have all the links to everything in the show notes. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I think I just remember that I think a lot of times people think that self-care is a selfish thing. And I just want to remind everybody that self-care is a self-honoring choice that helps you show up more fully in your life for other people as well as for yourself. And that's one of the first things you need to do for true healthcare. So make sure you're spending time for good self-care, and that includes your eating habits, exercise, mindfulness, and skincare routine.
Oh, do I love that? Because I always say, you can't give if your cup is empty. So you need to fill up your cup, and all those ways are just beautiful. That was a wonder. I love that. That was great. Thank you so much. And I'll have all the links in the show notes. And you've just given us so much information, and it's easy. It's really, that's what I like. It's just such a win-win situation, and it will help every part of your body. So I really can't thank you enough for sharing all this great information with all of us. And I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed today's interview as much as I have and are inspired to take action so you have that beautiful, young-looking, vibrant, healthy, glowing skin that's not only looks good, but it's also good for your bones and your overall health. And Dr. Cates has been so generous with our community, and she's offering everyone a 20% discount on all her products. So in the show notes, there's a link. If you go to that link, and then when you check out, there's a coupon code, put in Margie20, so MARGIE 20, and you'll receive 20% off. So goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Happy Bones, Happy Life podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe on your favorite listening app so that you don't miss any amazing insights on upcoming episodes. And until next time, continue to live your best life ever. See you soon.